What's happening, everyone? Art at Patience Metal Fab. I'm hanging out with Gary in the shop. Today we're going to be filming a bit of a breakdown on a car that's been here for a few weeks now. Now typically on some of these other cars we'll do a full series, maybe 3 to 8 episodes to just show the buildup. But some cars come in here and we do them in a small enough time frame where we could just do one episode showing off all the things we did, especially if it's a cool car. And this one really is. Now, I'm usually a fan of the JDM stuff that comes through here, especially the sports coupes. I don't know much about British cars, so do you want to do the reveal on this one?
Yeah, I mean, this is about as British as they get right here, the old Triumph TR6. Kind of typical story. Somebody wanted to go racing it, put all their money into suspension, brakes, motor, ran out of money when it came to the safety stuff, actually couldn't finish the car. He scooped it up for a pretty good price, bought it to us, cage, seat, steering columns, some of the safety components. Now it's ready to go racing.
So we'll go through those components one by one, but first of all, I want to touch on what you said about it looking incredible. It really does. It's got a nice squared off front end. I think that's really cool, and like chin spoiler does make me think of something JDM. What do you like about it?
Well, like everything from this area, it looks really good when you take the front bumper off of it too. You know, kind of that naked front end. But the body lines, it's got the nice hips over the rear quarters. I mean, a car like this, especially an open top car, when you build a cage for these, it takes a different aspect of the aesthetics to build this. You know, all our cages are meant to look good, but the roof line stuff, usually you're just packing it up into, you know, the roof line of a car. It winds up being the shape of the roof of the car. In this case, it's a little more like some of the side-by-side stuff we do where there's no top on it, so we're a little more free to play with the look of it. And that was one thing that made him bring it to us, is he set all the options out there for cages, because there are a handful of bolt-in cages for this. A lot of the options, they're ugly, they're boxy, they're real squared off. He didn't like the way they look, they're real tall, you know. He sits down real low in the car, so we're really able to cater this thing more to being built around him, get that roof line low, kind of change the eyebrow bar on the front, do some things with it that really made it look good on the car versus what's commercially available.
And I gotta say, having seen the car come in without the cage versus with the cage on, it's totally changed the look. It looks so much more aggressive and really follows that styling throughout. So what modifications did we make to this cage that we might not make to a normal hardtop coupe?
I mean, all the bars are here that would be in any other one, but just some subtleties. We kind of changed the look of this front bar here, because when you were looking at the car from the front, the way we typically do it with the bends going up and the smaller gusset bars coming down, just didn't really match the look of the car. We don't typically rake out the cages usually on open top cars. They tend to look good with kind of a squared off side profile. In this case, this whole car kind of does this a little bit. So we took that into account with the profile of sidebars. Like any of them, we designed it all in CAD, overlaid it to a picture of the car, and we were able to see kind of what it was, make some changes to it before we actually put it into practice here.
When I first heard about this build and it came in, I thought we were gonna have a more simplified version of this cage with less of all of these bars, but this turned out to be really heavy duty. And I think the door bars are a perfect example of that as well. You can see these could really take a hit in this thing. So what's the mentality behind that? What class is he even racing it in, or what is this thing built for?
So this thing's gonna be for SVRA, which is your vintage series. And it's what a lot of people feel, exactly what you're talking about. Like, these cars aren't super fast, they're not big power, but they're still doing 100 plus miles an hour out there. And if you're going 100 miles an hour to zero in, you know, the distance of a wall, it doesn't matter what kind of car it is, you're still gonna pay for it. So that's why we really push a lot of people, especially when something like this, when you're adding ballast to the car anyway, so they don't need to compromise on the weight, why not add a few more bars? Definitely when there's no roof. I mean, come on, you know, this thing really is what's going to save your life if you wind up putting this in the wall. You commented on the door bar, perfect example. Actually, if you look underneath the bar, you see some 1-inch DOM under here that actually drops under and goes into the middle. And that's what the seat's actually tied into. So now the seat mounts to the cage as well. The frame on these are super flimsy. The things just felt like a spaghetti noodle. And we can actually speak to that because Art got footage of us with this door gap right here lifting up on the back of the car, and you can actually see that door gap open and close. You don't see it anymore. It doesn't move. These are tied into the tails of the frame, center, front. There's some intrusion bars extending forward. Stiffens the thing up considerably.
I think that pretty much covers the cage. What is the next thing that we did on this car?
We jumped into steering. The old column didn't sit where he wanted it. It was really flimsy. It actually mounted to the dash, and you can see how flimsy the dash is. We got a Kamali 3/4 shaft now running through a support bearing that's tied into the cage, as well as one down inside here. So we'll pop that and take a look.
Yeah, let's see that. We can take a look at steering and then, of course, the engine on this thing.
So this is what we're talking about right here. Second support bearing down here. We just used the spline end off the original shaft, tied it in. I mean, it's nothing extravagant, but it works, and it centers that wheel in front of him now. It's supported, it's rigid, so it actually stays in place. You don't have to worry about, you know, the dash moving around and the steering column following it. The builder that he bought the car from said the motor's set to make about 250, which is a good little ripper in here. You look at it, it's got all the right parts, the old Cannon manifold, 3 side draft levers on it. I mean, you can tell the thing's been put together pretty well. And it's got a cool long tube header on it, old vintage parts, so we tied into that, kind of left it be. We need to put a V-band on it, as you can see in the pictures, and then stainless system out the back. You know, there's certain parts that really make a car feel higher quality build, and when you've got some kind of cobbled together exhaust under there that you can't really service the car. It was welded in place, you couldn't take it out. Giving them that ability to remove it and giving them a part that'll probably outlast the car at this point.
Speaking of the exhaust, that was the last major piece that we did for this thing. So anything to comment on? I know you can see the pipe coming out of there, very race car.
Yeah, the old trumpet pipe coming out the back. Talked about a couple different things, and really at the end of the day, he liked the look of the one that was on there, so we just stuck with it. And you know, it's what he wanted, works for us. It's all 063 all stainless. Get all our materials from Stainless Brothers. Stuff comes nice and shiny. You know, now it kind of matches the rest of the car. I mean, all in all, it's going to be a great little vintage car. Half the fun of these things is the show aspect of them. So you want them to look as nice as they work. You know, it's half the fun of it.
And this thing definitely looks nice. We unfortunately can't hear it start up right now because it's not completely ready to go, but I'm sure he'll be ripping around in it in the spring, and I'm hoping he brings it by the shop. Maybe we'll even get to see it out at the racetrack in Brainerd at some point. So really excited to hear this one run. We're done with it. We're done with the breakdown of it. So if you guys enjoyed this one, just make sure you like this video, you subscribe to our page. We've got plenty more of this type of content to come.